Our next speaker grew up in Scientology, and he's going to tell you more of what that's like and working for them at a very young age. He started speaking up just recently at some of the Anonymous events, and Anonymous has posted his videos on the web. This is the first time speaking out in public here. This is Will Fry.
Hi, I'm going to need a second. I have, just from listening to everyone else, going through probably a considerable adrenaline dump. It might be funny, a lot of these things, but it makes me very, very angry. You know, just to remind everyone, this isn't happening in North Korea. This is in America. Okay. So, I actually did a little YouTube interview leading up to this. You know, we only have about 8 minutes, and that's not a lot of time. And in that video, I was speaking about the child dynetics, the philosophy of L. Ron Hubbard, that children aren't actually children, but they're billion-year-old beings occupying smaller bodies than the rest of us, and they should be responsible for just as much as the rest of us, and this sort of madness. But rather than just point the finger in that video, I wanted to convey how the abusee becomes the abuser. And I was introduced to Scientology when I was 2 years old. I eventually went to their boarding schools in the desert of California, and eventually at the age of 17 I joined the Sea organization. I wanted to leave right away, but it's hard. It's a hard thing to overcome, the sensation that you're a traitor if you leave. You got to fulfill your billion years. 2 years later, I just left. I blew, as they say, with no intention of going back. But at the request of my family, because they didn't want me to be disconnected from them the way my uncle was disconnected from us for being declared a suppressive person in the 90s for taking a refund from the church in Ann Arbor, Michigan for services undelivered. The 10th of December this last year, he took his own life. So, I went back at my family's request. And it took me about 6 months being on the decks where you do slave labor, physical labor, no pay. Much like the RPF, you're under watch, and you undergo daily interrogations with their version of a lie detector. And it messed me up. Because when you leave, they want you to be absolutely unwilling to do what I'm doing today, to speak out. And it took me a long time to get here. I had to wake up, and I had to figure a lot of things out on my own. But once again, I want to talk about how the abusee becomes the abuser. And in that first year after I left the Sea Org, I was 20 years old, and I was just trying to escape. Just like, give me a fake ID, let's go to the bar, let's get drunk, meet girls. And I wanted a girlfriend, but it was kind of hard for any girl to want to have more than a short relationship with me, just because I had some issues, and I still have them. And I'm in therapy and I'm working all that out, but that's another subject. One of my girlfriends, well, we were together for about a month, was 15 years old. She was an ex-Sea Org member herself. I spoke about this in the video. We weren't hiding it. Her parents knew. My friends knew, other Scientologists. No one was disproving. But it was wrong. Realizing this later, obviously, but... And I'm not going to mention her name or any of the other names of the people involved in this, but she was kicked out of the Sea Org. And you may not realize, obviously listening to how hard it is to actually leave on your own volition, you might not understand just how hard it is to get kicked out. And she was 14 when she was kicked out. And I had heard the rumors of this when I was in the Sea Org, of why she was kicked out, but didn't really believe them. And again, I'm not going to say her name. She deserves her privacy, as does the gentleman in question. But there's a church not too far from here called the Advanced Organization of Los Angeles. It's the Church of Scientology responsible for making the OTs up to OT level 5. After that, they have to go to Clearwater, Florida, the Mecca. And this is in 99, 2000, and the current captain or the leader of the Advanced Organization of Los Angeles was about 50-year-old short Italian man, and she was his assistant, and they were having sex. And when the church found out, they kicked her out. They let her mom and stepfather, who also worked at the AOLA, or Advanced Organization of Los Angeles, leave quietly to watch over her out in the real world to make sure she wouldn't, you know, reveal anything. And they put him on the RPF, not the local RPF. You know, they sent him out, I think, overseas or to the INT base. Someone could probably tell you. But I'm not here to say, you know, so-and-so's a pedophile. That he could be just as screwed up as I was when I left. And, you know, the point of what I'm saying is that the willingness of this organization, the Sea Org, the Office of Special Affairs, the Church of Scientology International, to circumvent the justice system in this country is absolutely paramount to any idea that they would need to suffer any bad public relations. That's their priority. They don't dial 911 on their own. They never have, and they never will. And that's what the RPF is for, to bury people alive. Something happens they don't like, make them go away. And, you know, there's other people that could confirm this story, not even, I doubt anyone from the church will, but people have left since then that would have full knowledge of this, besides the actual people involved. For example, a guy like Mike Rinder, the former head of the Office of Special Affairs, OSA, formerly known as the Guardian's Office, or the single largest infiltrator of the U.S. government. You can look that up, Operation Snow White. Google it. They changed the name, but they didn't change the game plan. Anyway, he's still a Scientologist, Mike Rinder. He just didn't like the abuses towards him, though he was personally responsible for ruining countless lives. I'm sure he knew about it, and others. But, and you'll have to forgive me, despite the advice of my constituents here, I didn't write anything down. It's just not my style. All right. Look, I have a lot more stories to tell, and that'll happen in the future. If you want, you can just go onto YouTube and search my name, Will Fry, F-R-Y. It'll pop right up. And I look forward to talking more with y'all. And thank you for having me.